Good morning and happy Thursday, folks. We're approaching the end of the week, which is awesome. There's several things going on today for me, including the newest episode of Hot Ones featuring Will Smith. But before I get into any of that and talk about what I really want to talk about today, let's go a little bit back to times. Let's see. I would say that my low is the weather is starting to get to me a little bit. Because for whatever reason, at 10, not that I should be going to bed today anyway, but I just immediately want to collapse at 10 o'clock and just go to bed. I'm actually sleeping a little bit better, for being honest. I'm still a little bit tired, but, less so. That's a good thing. My high is the fact that there's a new show that I had been recently watching. Well, sort of new. And I want to get into that. Because this has actually been the subject of a lot of controversy for those who either grew up in the 90s or are huge fans of animation like myself. Well, not a lot of controversy, but it has mixed reviews, so we'll say that much. So let me try and break it down. And my act of kindness was, actually, including the new show I've been watching, my high is I saw something very important to me yesterday. And it was nice. And my act of kindness was I actually did something nice for my dad, which honestly I can't wait to, it's weird, I keep thinking Father's Day is this weekend, but that's actually next weekend, so got a little bit of time before I have to worry about that. Well, it does remind me, I work with a budget every week. I guarantee $20 is going to go right into getting Father's Day cards for my father and my grandfather. And probably my brother too, holy cow. So, I told y'all there was a new show that I had been watching. You may know it's a little bit, Okay, so, there's a it's sort of new, because in 2001, Nickelodeon came out with two new shows, Invader Zim and Fairly OddParents. Both shows were actually huge hits in their own right. Unfortunately, Invader Zim was very disturbing, as well as the fact that I think the budget for that show was $1 million an episode or something like that. So it got preemptively canceled before really going anywhere where it could have. Meanwhile, the other popular show, Fairly OddParents, went on for 20 plus years with several spin-off shows, several TV movies, and now it's been rebooted. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because the show has been rebooted, called Fairly OddParents, A New Wish. Now, I grew up watching the original show a lot. In fact, and anyone who's ever been a fan of Fairly OddParents would know the story. But Butch Hartman really didn't know that the show was the creator of the show, he didn't think the show was going to be as big of a hit as it was, and Nickelodeon would have won as basically. He thought it was going to be a hit, but what wound up happening was only 6 episodes were actually made, and for the span of the entire year, whenever Fairly OddParents was on, it was only one of those 6 episodes, which was I forget whose fault it was for that, but at that point when we were actually new episodes of Fairly Odd Parents, like everyone tuned in, and it was awesome. If you don't know how the show works, is in the old show there was a boy named Timmy Turner who was voiced by Tara Strong, who was he was an average kid, good kid, wore a pink shirt with a pink hat, and buck teeth, and his life is, ultimately miserable. I mean, his parents are very neglective, and the worst part about it is he had an evil babysitter named Vicky, voiced by the great Lyle Griffin. Actually, great Lyle. So, with all that in mind, enter these new fairy godparents, Cosmo, voiced by Duran Norris, and Suzanne Blasey as Wanda. And basically, Timmy makes a wish, shenanigans ensue. Pretty sure you can figure out how that goes. However, they also developed a set of rules. I love that there's, in the old show, they had a big purple book called The Rules, spelled D-A Rules, which is awesome. And there's rules that you gotta follow and things you can't do with them. And the big thing you can't do is reveal them to the world, otherwise they go away forever. You forget you had them, stuff like that. And in the old show, you had colorful characters like Jorgen von Strangle, the toughest fairy in the universe. Chester and AJ, who were Timmy's best friends. Elmer, the kid with a big boil. There was also Sanjay, who was of Indian descent. Not for nothing, I think they probably just put that in there to fill a racial code or something like that. I don't know. Vicky's little sister Tootie, who, funny enough, had a crush on Timmy. I mean, and there was such a great cast, and a lot of great guest stars too. Like Jay Leno as the Crimson Chin. The late Norm Macdonald as Norm the Genie. Not to mention, I mentioned Chester and AJ. Chester was actually voiced by, at one point he was voiced by Frankie Muniz. And then later by Jason Marsden. By the way, I said Jason Marsden. Or Marsden. Not James Marsden, okay? They're two different people. Anyway, so this was a pretty solid cast. And I watched it a lot, but I will admit, it grew stale for a long time. It kept adding new characters that the show didn't need. It sort of kept, there were times, in one episode, they established the rules, explained this, and then in a later episode, in later seasons, they completely ignore what the rules were. In the previous, it just got really confusing. And it was no surprise that there was a lot of fans who had a mass exodus of the show. I dare say myself included. I mean, look, not for nothing, but I wasn't mad about when they introduced the character of Poof, like a lot of people were. But I can genuinely tell you that the origins of Poof's birth, that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Not me. Not going to talk about that during Pride Month, let me tell you what right now. But, and then they introduced Auntie Poof and Sparky the dog. Not to mention, in the final season, they introduced a new god kid who Timmy has to share Cosmo and Wanda with. And then in the final season, they also had to do, they dealt with a Flash animation, which didn't really look right at all. Honestly, the one major antagonist outside of, Vicky, who was, really great to watch, was Mr. Denzel Crocker, voiced by Carlos Alazraqui. Fairies! I love that. I love that guy. Oh, man. So, considering that the show originally went out with a whimper, it seemed pretty weird that they'd come up with a reboot for this show. Like, how do you go about doing it? Well, in this new reboot, the main character is a little girl named Hazel Wells, voiced by Ashley Crystal Hairston, who, she's a cute kid, unique kid with, really cool interests. Her father studies, her father is a professor at Dimmodelphia University. Yeah, not Dimsdale, California, like in the old show. It's Dimmodelphia, other side of the coast, actually. And her mom is like a really important businesswoman, I think. I'm sorry, I'm blanking off the top of my head what she does. I'm sorry. But when she moves into, when the family moves in their apartment, they run into some new neighbors. Just your typical retired couple named Cosmo and Wanda. Once again voiced by Duran Norris and Suzanne Blakely, respectively. And, it's very clear that, listen, it's like when I talked about that 90s show last year, which I'm really excited that part 2's coming out at the end of this month. I'm excited. Anyway, it's like what I said regarding that 90s show. Like, I said that, Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp made that show as Red and Kitty. Duran Norris and Suzanne Blakely as Cosmo and Wanda, they make this show. No matter what you could say about what happened at the end of the old show, true, by the end of the old show, they wrote Wanda as more of a nag, and Cosmo was just really, really dumb. Even under those circumstances, Duran Norris and Suzanne Blakely, they made it, they were committed to those roles. They made it work. So, I like in this new show, this is a brand new God kid in a brand new city. Cosmo and Wanda just come out of retirement. I love that they brought everything back down to square one. Again, Wanda isn't much of a nag. And Cosmo, you can make the case he's dumb, but not cartoonishly dumb. More just naive dumb. There's this one joke in the first episode where right before Hazel makes her first wish, she's trying to run away, right? And Cosmo and Wanda are downstairs, because remember, they're an old retired couple. They haven't been established as fairies yet. We, the audience, know they're fairies, but Hazel doesn't know they're fairies yet. Anyway, so Hazel's trying to leave, and she's trying to go to a space camp, and she tries to convince Cosmo and Wanda that her parents are coming with them. And then, when she wishes herself, because she wanted herself to fly, and what wound up happening is that she becomes a fly. And then Cosmo's like, oh no, she's never going to get to space camp. That kind of naive. That's the kind of naive dumb that I can get behind. It's not cartoonish, it's not off-putting, and there's actually some really funny jokes in this show. She wishes for a dinosaur to come back to life, and Cosmo and Wanda just happen to know, which is awesome. Let's see. We're reintroduced to Jordan Von Strangle, which it's fun seeing Jordan. I like seeing Jordan. Let's see what else. One of Hazel's new friends, Jasmine, is afraid of a lot of things. So, Hazel tries to wish her that she's fearless, but because her fears manifest in physical form, they're everywhere. It can get kind of dark in some points, but not too dark. And considering this is only the first 5 episodes have been released, that's what you need. Establish some world building, put some rules into place, keep the status quo where it is at the moment and slowly build over time. Which technically is what the old show did, it just didn't really do it in the right way. Honestly, whoever I don't know who the showrunner is or who the writers are, but give those people some raises. Because there's some good jokes here. Like, really good jokes. And some good lessons for kids to learn, too. Like, one wish where Hazel wants to be friends with other teachers because she can't make any, friends her own age. When the lesson is, listen, you should have just been trying to be with your own people your age in the first place. And at the end of the episode, she meets her new friend, Jasmine. That's really cool. There's also some really cool characters, too. And some of the old cast reprises, well, not reprised roles, but they're in the show still. Like, Carlos Alazraqui was Mr. Crocker, is now Mr. Guzman, who's Hazel's teacher. Gray Delisle has a few roles in here, who is Vicky. She's, so far the only person I've heard her be is, so far among this list of characters that I think she plays, or I know she plays, is, Krentz, the principal of Hazel School. Let's see. Marcus Montgomery, who apparently I think is like a YouTuber, is a Whispers Fred, who always speaks in a quiet voice and does ASMR videos. So it's a little more modern. Oh right, I also forgot about the Dimodomes. You had Doug Dimmadome, or the Dimsdale Dimmadome, in the old show. His son Dale Dimmadome, son of Doug Dimmadome, or the Dimsdale Dimmadome. And now, in this show, you have Dad Dimmadome, voiced by Kyle McCartney, who's the son of Dale Dimmadome and grandson of legendary business tycoon Doug Dimmadome, or the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Oh god, it was fun. That was actually a fun joke I liked in the old show. And I'm glad they started brought it back here, but not in an obnoxious way. Not to mention, the animation of this show is really good. It's very clear it's, the character design is definitely Butch Hartman's old style. But it's also, a little bit of a, computer generated, obviously. But not that it actually is, but it looks like there's a little bit of stop motion in there, kind of. I mean, I know it's not stop motion, but it looks it. I like that. I mean, I like good stop motion animation. Leica fans? Anyone out there Leica fans? Honestly, the first 5 shows are out online right now. You can watch them, at your leisure. But for 5 episodes, it's got a good start. This is a good foundation to build a show on. 5 pretty decent episodes. I mean, I think the reason why people gave this show mixed reviews in the beginning is because, listen, you should have just let Fairly OddParents die, Listen, that was the old show. This is brand new, with new established characters, while still keeping some old ones. Literally, even in the worst of times of the old show, there are elements in the old show that worked. And I'm glad they at least kept those elements in this new reboot. Again, Duran Norris and Suzanne Blakey, what can I say? You guys is Cosmo Wanda relationship goals. You are. I mean, for 10,000 years, and they quite literally say that. Not to mention, there's some really obscure references in the show. In the old show, the lyrics was a obtuse rubber goose. And in the museum episode, the one where Hazel wished back the dinosaur, Hazel literally says, "Oh, look, an obtuse rubber goose from 2001 BCE. Okay, first of all, you literally made an obtuse rubber goose for this new reboot. But 2001 is when the old show first premiered. You gotta be I guess in a way I am a diehard fan of the show. But a fan would know that deep cut when they hear it. And that's awesome. So yeah, I'm really digging this new show so far. Don't know where it's gonna go from here. And I really hope more people give this a shot because I really think it's working very well so far. Hope you guys like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel on social media. As always, I'm very humble. This video for hope you guys watch and enjoy for them. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Remember, you guys want to talk to always be later, always be back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.